My mom was a heroin addict. She took drugs while she was pregnant with me, and it caused me to be born with a limb difference, missing my left arm. I didn't know I had one arm until first day of kindergarten. And I noticed the kids start laughing and pointing, and I don't know what they're talking like, okay, what's, I'm looking around the room, and then I realize they're laughing and pointing at me. And when it hit me, I ran out the door.
You also lost a kid.
I did. We went in for our 27-week ultrasound, and the ultrasound tech wouldn't look at us. Doctor comes in and says, you need to go to the hospital. They were noticing his heart wasn't performing the way it should perform. I get a call, CJ's in cardiac arrest, and they revive him and they drain the fluid. And about 30 minutes later, they do it again. They went to do it again, and I stopped them. I said, we're not doing this anymore. The reason CJ's not with us is because God had bigger plans for him, and he needed him more than we did.
I think somebody who's been with his wife for like 50 years, when she died, on average, he has like 18 months to live.
Yeah.
Like you die of a broken heart, basically. And he's, I think, like 6 years in and fucking kicking, man. 85, up on a ladder every day.
Oh, wow.
Tending to the garden. Like
Yeah, my grandparents were married 73 years.
73 years.
My grandfather died, he was 98. And then my grandmother died 2 years later when she was 97.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she died on New Year's Eve, and we laugh. We don't laugh about someone dying, but because they were raising the price at her assisted living center the next year, and she didn't want to pay it.
Yeah.
So she's like, I'm out.
And where was she born? Where she was in Orlando area? Or?
No, she was in Southern California.
Okay.
She's from Kansas, Wichita, Kansas.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's how we start. We're rolling. We're all good. You're all good.
Roll. Yeah, let's
cool.
go.
Let's rock and roll, dude.
Mike, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you good with that mic
Yeah,
positioning?
I'm totally fine.
Awesome,
Totally
man. If you ever have to reposition or so, I know these chairs are a little damp because they're outside. So if you need to get you a towel or something.
I don't feel anything.
Awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been
course, man.
an absolute pleasure to just be in your life the last couple years.
Well, thanks, man.
Well, let's dive right into it, man. I'm going to address the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, you were born with one arm.
I was. Yeah.
Right? Help me understand that story, like bring it back. So I know a little bit about the story, but I want you to share a little bit.
Yeah, so my mom was a heroin addict, and she took drugs while she was pregnant with me, and it caused me to be born with a limb difference, missing my left arm, or half of my left arm. And lucky to be alive, because a lot of people wouldn't have made it, right? Mm-hmm. And I was born a couple months premature. In 72, which that wasn't, things were different then.
Sure.
Science was different, technology was different. So I was born, I say sometimes with the deck stacked against me, and I didn't, obviously I've known any different, you know what I mean? But that was, came out screaming and kicking, but missing half my left arm.
At what point in your childhood did you realize that things were a little bit different for you?
Oh, that's a good story. First day of kindergarten, my family made me feel very comfortable. I didn't know I had one arm until first day of kindergarten. And first day of school I went, and it's the time I was living with my aunt, and my mom was in one of her many stints of rehab. And I show up the first day of kindergarten, and I walk into the room, and let me tell you something, that morning I remember it still, like getting ready for school, and I was so excited to go. And I lived with my aunt who had a couple kids, and my sister was there too, so I was around little kids all the time, but I was excited to go be me and go to school, right? Like I had my backpack, and I had on these overall shorts, and I had on these knee-high socks with sandals, and I had long blonde hair, believe it or not. And if you see pictures of my son, I look just like him, like it's carbon copy. He looks like me at that age. And I walk into class the first day, and I'm excited to be there, man, and I noticed the kids start laughing and pointing, and I don't know what they're talking like, okay, what's, I'm looking around the room, and then I realize they're laughing and pointing at me, and they're doing this thing with their arm, like my arm, right? Like making fun of me, and because I was different. And when it hit me, my I look at it now, but my fight or flight response kicked in. And what did I do? I ran out the door of the school, and I ran all the way home. A 5-year-old. Ran all the way home. And I remember running up the steps to my aunt's house. She lived in Green Cove Springs, Florida at the time. And it was an older home on cinder blocks, right, which is very common where we live. And I went up the steps, and the door shrieked as I went inside, and my aunt comes running out of the kitchen because she doesn't expect anybody to be home, and she sees me, and I'll never forget her coming to me, and I'm crying, trying to catch my breath, and she gets down on a knee and looks me eye to eye and says, "What's wrong?" And I told her, and she said, "Christopher, you're special and you're different. And one day you'll realize that will make you different than anybody else. You'll stand out in a good way." And I can tell you to this day, I still remember that because I believed her. I believed that I was special, and I believed that I was different. Now, I battled with that for years and a long time, because we always want to fit in. But that was the first time I realized that I was missing half my arm.
Thank you for sharing that story, man. Yeah. And when did you realize that, because it seems like your aunt was a huge piece of your life, almost like a mother figure at the time. When did it hit you that your mom was struggling with addiction? I know it's probably 5 years old. It's tough to really wrap your head around that.
I think probably about 8 or 9 years old. My mom got custody of me about 9 or 10 years old maybe. And I started realizing that things were a little bit different with her. You didn't know what you were going to get when you got home from school, or how she would show up, or if she would show up, right? Like you just didn't know. So I remember her being different than that. But I also remember now, looking back on it, like cocaine on the table in the kitchen, and razor blades, and then syringes in the bath. Like now you remember those things. Sure. Like I thought that was normal. I thought everybody's parents did cocaine off their dining room table. Like I don't know, different. And I would see her struggle with drug addiction, and then I would see her disappear. But when I got to a spot where I could kind of take care of myself, 10, 11 years old, I wasn't getting shuffled around from family member to family member anymore. I was just trying to survive and take care of my sister. And I had a stepdad who wasn't the smartest guy in the world, but he showed up from time to time and take care of stuff. But my dad was totally out of the picture from the time I was 3 years old on, and I'd see him every 4 or 5 years probably. But it was around 11 years old when I really was like, man, everybody else's parents aren't like this, right? Like I'm riding my bike to Little League practice or catching a ride with everybody because my mom's just not going to go, right? And luckily I lived in a community in a neighborhood called Kingswood Subdivision in Orlando, which was like it was the first subdivision in Orlando, right? It was built in the 50s, and there was just a good group of guys there, a good group of friends and family members. Now that I know, their families knew what I was going through, but I didn't know that at the time. And they always invited me in for dinner and meals and that kind of stuff. So I would say it really probably by the time I was 11 years old. And when I was 11, there was this company that came around, and they put these things on the telephone poles. It was called Junior Salesman. And it said, make $100 a week, 13 or older. Right now in today's world, like, we know what that's going to be. But back then, so I grabbed it off the pole, and I remember going to my mom and saying, hey, I can help with the bills. I can help. She's like, well, you're not 11. I said, well, tell them I'm 13. She said, 11, tell them you're 13. So they came to the house to talk to my parents, and she said, yeah, he's 13. So I started working for a company called Junior Salesman, where I sold candies and cookies door to doors to businesses and houses. And I was making $150, $200 a week. And that's when I really noticed the drug problem, because I would have to hide my money. I would catch her stealing money from me when I was asleep, right? She'd go into my mason jar. I had all my cash, and she'd steal from me. So that was probably the reason why I've never done anything harsh in the drug world. You know what I mean? I've smoked weed for sure. And I think it's more common today than it was back then, but I never tried any of that crazy stuff, because first, I probably would have liked it. And second, I saw what the results were, right?
Do you hold any resentment for your mom throughout this time? Like when you finally realized that, like, hey, the reason why you were born with one arm was because of that addiction. Like, was there any resentment earlier in your life? Tons.
When I finally figured out that's what the cause was, tons of resentment. Didn't have a really strong relationship with my mom the last 20 or years before she passed away. She passed away in 2019. She was only, she was 55 when she died. And, I'm sorry, 65 when she died. Is that right? I gotta do the math. Yeah, 65 when she died. And, I held a lot of grudges along the way, but not just because of that, just because of the way she continued to treat me throughout life.
Sure.
Like, I reminded her of my dad so much, so she hated me, right? She would put on a front like she liked me, but the things that she would say to me and talk to me and stuff, I just separated from her for the last 20 years. I did go see her the day before she died. My sister and her were still close. My sister called and said, "Hey, Mom, they've given Mom a couple days to live. You need, and I did that for me, not for her.
Yeah.
I showed up for me.
At what point did you internally, I guess, forgive her? Did you, or did you at all? Most importantly for yourself.
Gosh, you know what? I don't know. That's a great question, Antonio. I don't know if there's ever been a forgiveness there. It's one of those things where, people ask me all the time in interviews and stuff, "Hey, what would you go change, if you knew this, or go back to your 20-year-old self or whatever?" And my answer always is nothing. I would change nothing because I really like where I'm at in my life. So when I look at the relationship I have with my mom, I have gotten to a point where it was a necessary requirement for me to be the person I am. Because if my life would have been different, I wouldn't be here today. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be speaking on a big stage tomorrow. I wouldn't have written a best-selling book. I wouldn't have done those things. Right. So unfortunately, the adversity that I went through as a kid was a requirement to get me to where I am now.
Yep. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And I mean, all the accomplishments on top of that, right? Like with the odds stacked against you literally everywhere in your life, right? You've been fucked over in business. Yeah. Obviously we just talked about your mom thing. Mm-hmm. You've gotten to a point where you've just completed a High Rocks, which I want to talk about. The One Jordan thing we're going to talk about. You've built multi-7-figure businesses before, and you kind of built a life around your terms at this point. I want to stay on the adversity topic for a second, if you're cool with that. Yeah. You also lost a kid.
I did. Yeah.
Share with me that experience, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
and sure. We don't have to go there if you don't want to.
No, it's okay. It's okay. That's my therapy, talking about my son CJ, and there's a tattoo on my arm that says CJ's watching. So CJ, so my wife and I, in December of 2019, we'd gone through IVF, and we got the news on New Year's Eve that we were going to have a baby. She was pregnant. Now, I have 2 older kids from previous relationships, right? But a lot older kids. And my wife hadn't had a child at that point. So I'm all about it. Like, I know you'd be a great mom. And so we went through the whole process. And as it got closer, they were telling us this might be wrong with CJ, there might be this wrong. And so we did all these different tests. We got through everything. And then finally we went in for our 27-week ultrasound. And the ultrasound tech wouldn't look at us. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not good. Doctor comes in and says, you guys need to go home and get your stuff, and you need to go to the hospital. We need to monitor CJ closer. It looks like there's a lot of fluid on him. Like, okay. So we got our stuff packed up and went to the hospital, and we were there for 3 weeks. And in that 3-week period, they had my wife on all this medicine. They were noticing his heart wasn't performing the way it should perform. So he had what is called cardiomyopathy hyperplasia, which essentially is an enlarged heart, but it won't squeeze enough. When your heart doesn't squeeze enough, it doesn't push the blood through to process the fluids out of your body, right? So that's like, your heart's like this massive filter, right? So when it's not squeezing, you'll have water retention and other things. So we're working towards getting him delivered. And they said, well, we're going to get him out. We'll be in the NICU for probably 6 weeks. And we believe we can get this under control. So I'm doing all the research, like, where's the best heart hospital? Like, do we need to fly him to Dallas when he's born? Whatever we need to do. My wife delivers him in July of 2020, right in the middle of COVID, right? So right in the middle of COVID, no one can come to the hospital. And when he's born, he doesn't cry. So, of course, my wife's drugged up big time because they did a C-section. I'm in full panic mode. They're like, look, we're going to go get him stabilized and get him on a ventilator and stuff, and you can see him in like 2 hours. I'm like, okay. So they put me in a room. My wife starts to crash. Her heart rate goes into 20 beats a minute. Her blood pressure is like 80/40. So I'm sitting in this room thinking about losing my wife and my son for 2 hours. And no one can come be with me because it's COVID. Then they say, hey, your wife's in recovery. You can go see your son now. So I go up to the NICU, and I walk into the NICU and into the room, and I see my little boy laying there. with all these lines out of him, and he's on a ventilator on the maximum amount of oxygen you can get. And I reached in and I put my finger next to his hand and I said, CJ, Dad's here. And he grabbed my finger and he kicked his legs and he tried to open his eyes. We had tape over him at the time, but he tried to open his eyes and look at me. I said, I'm here, buddy. My wife got the chance to come see him for a little bit. And we had been up for like 40 hours at that point. He was stable, but on a ventilator, and we knew we had a long road to go. So I decided to go home, take a nap. I'd been sleeping on this vinyl couch. Like, I can't fit. I'm 6'5". I just couldn't fit. So I go home. I go to sleep. About 3 a.m, I get a call from my wife. You need to get back to the hospital. CJ's in cardiac arrest. So I was in Lake Mary at the time, and I needed to get to Winnie Palmer, downtown Orlando. And I take off. I'm driving down I-4. And I-4's closed because of construction. So I have to get off. I have to reroute and going through all these different areas. This road's closed. That's road closed. I finally get there. I pull in front of the hospital. I don't park my car. I just go inside. She calls me right as I'm pulling. She goes, he's stable again, but you need to get in here. So I go up. I go in the NICU. My wife's in there, and he's in there. And I'm watching him, and there's doctors and nurses everywhere. And I'm slowly watching his heart rate go down again. And you can see the fluid coming back on him. So he arrests then, and they revive him, and they drain the fluid. And about 30 minutes later, they do it again. And about 30 minutes later, they went to do it again, and I stopped them. I said, we're not doing this anymore. Like, I know what that can do to a baby. That much fluid can cause brain damage, and like he's probably never going to recover at this point. So we had to make the decision. I did make the decision that we were going to stop resuscitating him. So he passed away that morning at around 6:30 in the morning. My wife and I sat there in the room with him for about 3 hours afterwards, held him and talked to him and dressed him, took all the stuff off of him and took some pictures of him so we'd have memories. And then we went to back to our room. And the weirdest thing, you're sitting in this hospital room. Now all these doctors are coming in to try to tell you it's not your fault. I'm like, honestly, I don't care what your opinion is. And I know why you're saying that, because you don't want us to sue you. Like, you didn't do anything wrong. We're not going to sue you. But I know that's the protocol, is for them to come in and go, it's not your fault, just so you know, like trying to get you so you don't, you know. So we're on the 6th floor of this hospital. And I look outside the window, and there's this blue butterfly on the window on the 6th floor. You know how high up that is? And the butterfly's on the 6th floor. And that butterfly shows up all the time. Now, this blue butterfly shows up everywhere. Like, it's the weirdest thing ever, right? So we say that CJ shows up in the form of a butterfly to see us now. But the next 8 months were incredibly trying. Most relationships don't last the loss of a child. Ours got stronger. We wouldn't let anybody come visit us for like 2 weeks. Again, it's the middle of COVID, right? Yep. So we didn't do a service or anything like that. I have his urn, we call it a playpen, up on my fireplace mantle in my living room, and I kiss it every night before I go to bed. But for the next 8 months, I was in a bad spot. I'm not a big drinker, but boy, I can sure eat a lot. So I just ate and ate and ate and ate, and I wasn't myself. And then I started going through my journal, because leading up to his birth, I had written down all these things I was going to do with my son, right? Baseball games, travel, all these different things. And I'm reading those. And at the top of the page, I had written, call Bill Hart, who's my old coach, and start coaching with him again. I wrote that down a few months before he passed, and I hadn't contacted him. So I called him that Sunday afternoon from my back porch. It was March of 21, and I started working with him again. And then I realized that I'm not doing any justice to my son by sitting here and mourning him every day, that he wants more of me. And then I had that conversation with my wife. My relationship with God then was really not good, because I'm like, my God wouldn't do this to me. Mm-hmm. Just wouldn't. And my wife said, I need you to listen to me. The reason CJ's not with us is because God had bigger plans for him, and that he needed him more than we did. And at that moment, I'll never be okay with losing him, but I was more at peace with it.
Sure.
And he shows up a lot in my life. And that's when I went and got the tattoo to remind me that CJ's watching. And I would never, like, I had a great life, or at least what some would think of. I made money, had good relationships with, and just that kind of stuff. But I would never be where I am today if I hadn't gone through that adversity. Mm-hmm. And CJ pushes me. And now, on the lighter side of things, while everybody's listening to this, we have a 2-year-old son named Leo, who was born in December of 23. And CJ shows up in his life a lot as well. But we were able to get through that adversity, because I don't think you ever get over anything. You get through it because it becomes part of you forever, right? And had the courage to go for it again. And now we have this little guy, Leo Christopher, I was FaceTiming with this morning twice, and we're in a really, really good spot.
When you found out that you guys were pregnant again with Leo, was it joy or fear at the beginning?
Oh, terrified. You know, because we went through IVF again. I mean, I'm 53 years old, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, you know, things don't work like they should, right? Plus, I had a vasectomy in 2001. So we went through the whole process, and it was terror, and it was so we go in, and none of this was easy. So we go in, we get high risk, because my wife was 47 when Leo was born, right? Mm-hmm. She's 47 years old. So we go in high risk. We go to the high risk doctor, and we're there, and he goes, hey, I'm looking at some stuff. I'm kind of concerned. There's some shadowing. And so my wife had what's called placental previa, which could be a problem for her, not the baby. Now, I wasn't at every appointment because I'm traveling and speaking on the road and stuff. And I wasn't one of the appointments where the doctor told her, hey, I need you to sign a waiver. You could die when you deliver your son. I was not privy to that, right, until after. Mm.
Would you have let her sign the waiver?
Yeah. I wouldn't have fought her on that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I would have been even more scared. So they said, hey, look, we're going to take him 6 weeks early. He's healthy, but for Nikki's placental previa, we need to do that. We got a special team coming in to the hospital to deliver him. This is everything we're doing, right? So December 11th, we're set to go to the hospital and check in. And she's packing, I'm getting ready, and all of a sudden I hear a noise from the bathroom. And I walk around the corner, and in our master suite, she's standing there looking at me, and there's blood everywhere. Like, everywhere. Of course, she's in medicine, I'm not, so I'm freaking the fuck out. Like, I'm just freaking out. I call the doctor, her doctor. She had a direct line to him, because we'd been in the hospital for a month before that, going through, just because she was having difficulties. So I call the doctor, and he says, call 911. I'll have everything ready when you get there. So I call 911. They come pick her up. I follow the ambulance down I-4 all the way into to Winnie Palmer. I actually beat the ambulance there. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Because the whole way now I'm thinking, okay, now I'm losing my wife and son again. We get in there, they check his heart rate, he's fine, she's fine. They put us on a monitor overnight. We're like, look, we can deliver him if it gets bad. We don't have the team here until tomorrow to do what we really need to do. Like, it was so bad, Antonio, that they put a catheter device into her thigh to go up to her heart, that when they delivered the baby, if she started bleeding out, they would stop the blood flow. Like, that's some serious stuff, right? Yeah. So the next day we go into the delivery room. There's like 20 doctors in this. It was I've never seen anything like this in my life. So they give her the C-section. They get him out. He's crying. He's happy. Like, he's alive. We're good, right? And my wife is just under normal anesthesia, like local anesthesia at the time. And they said, okay, now we're going to have to give you a hysterectomy because it's a mess. Like, this was a mess. And we knew that. And she said, yeah, but don't put me under. So she stayed awake for 6 hours on that table while they did all those things to her, because she didn't want to be asleep and delay the time she got to spend with her son. So Leo and I sat in the little waiting area, and I sang songs to him and fed him and just was with him. until she came out of there. So my wife is a savage, bro. Like one of the toughest people I've ever met in my life. And her priority was being able to see her son. I don't care what I got to go through. And she came out, and of course it was, again, here I'm sitting in this room with my son thinking my wife, we don't know what's going to happen. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this by myself. I'm sure I would have figured it out. Mm-hmm. But at the time I was like, man, what? I don't know that I can do this. So we got out of there. Things are good. My wife's healthy as can be. My son's healthy. Like, we're very blessed. But man, you talk about getting another curveball on the way there, brother. Like, there was no easy landing here. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, yeah. So,
I mean, dude, for all you've been through, God bless Nikki. She's strong, man. If not stronger, like women are a different breed, man. It's impressive.
She's way tougher than me, dude. I get a cold. We need to go to the ER.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, she is a special person and just really a tough individual. The best mom I've ever seen. Like the relationship she has with Leo, I'm super jealous of, right? Mm-hmm. And I know when he gets older, he'll want to hang with dad more, but right now I'm second fiddle, which is fine. But she's the best mom. Like, it's Leo first. Like, everything she does in her life, how's this going to affect my son? Mm-hmm. And I'm the same way with my kids. I've always been that way when it came to my kids, but Leo is very blessed to have her, and I'm incredibly blessed to have both of them.
What would you say to that version of yourself that may have thought like you never would have healed after CJ's loss?
Man, I mean, if somebody's going through something like that, time will heal a lot of wounds. But also figure out the best way you can express yourself through it, through therapy. Like what's that look like for you? My wife does not like to talk about it. That's not her. I'll stand on stages and talk about it. I'll get on podcasts and talk about it. I'll write books about it. That's how I heal through it, right? Is trying to find someone else who's gone through something similar or close and let them know they're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I have like chills as you're talking about this stuff. It's like, a previous version of me would almost be self-conscious around me not having to go through it, even close to a shred of the adversity that you had to go through. What's your relationship with God like through this whole thing? So like, I couldn't imagine going through what you did, 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah. And you said you had a rocky relationship with God. The most infuriating thing that someone could probably say to me is like, God does this for a reason if I don't have a great relationship with God at the time, because it's like, that's just a way to help me cope. But like, what shifted in you that really led to a more solidified relationship with God?
Well, I mean, the first thing was, like I said, my wife helped me understand that he needed CJ. CJ was not meant for this world, right? Like he had bigger plans for him. But the other part is that once I realized that I could ask God for help and it actually worked, my relationship got a lot better. I didn't think you were supposed to ask God for anything. Like, I thought you were supposed to thank him for everything and never ask him for help. And once I realized that when I step into rooms or on stages or anything else, that I was no longer stepping in those places alone. Now, he'd been there the whole time, but I didn't know it. But now, when I know that, there's not much that can throw me off my thing, right? I know that I'm where I'm supposed to be, even when it doesn't feel good. That he's put me in a spot where I need to be, and my relationship with God is really strong. And in October of 23, I was in the hospital for 6 days, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And the first 2 days I was there, the guy in the room next to me died one night, and the guy in the other room died the next night. And I'm like, dude, is this it? Like, did you bring me here for me to get out? And I remember getting out of my hospital bed and getting on my hands and knees and praying. And I can still remember how cold and hard that floor felt. And I said, God, if you will get me out of here, I will do everything the rest of my life to impact people in a positive way. Like something you've never seen before. Like, I will spend every day to try to bring value and impact to people to help them get through these tough times. And 24 hours later, I went home. And I think you probably heard me speak about that on stage at one of the events we were at. But that is so powerful and impactful that, tell me why, give me an explanation why it went that way without being God involved.
Sure.
And I know there's a lot of doubters out there, and it's not, some places it's not cool to worship God. Whatever, I don't care. But I know what he's done for me and what he's done for my family. And he continues to do for me, and he continues to protect me by still putting me in really tough situations to grow and learn, right? Like the road is not over. It's not going to be smooth until the day I die, right? But I think that he puts me through challenges because he knows I'm going to get better and get through it.
Yeah. So getting out of the weeds a little bit, less morbid, shifting more towards like your entrepreneurial and career, fitness, all those types of things. It's almost like with all these things, with the cards stacked against you, you're almost like, there's almost like this form of masochism that I see in you, because like you just make your life harder purposely. On the workout side, you've done high rocks, you're an entrepreneur. Like walk me through kind of what like career looks like in like personal development, your performance, then we'll get into coaching, all that stuff.
Yeah. So career, I mean, I've been all over the place in my career. I mean, I did a lot of time in the automotive industry and then the mortgage space. But I've always been someone who wants to learn and get better and be more and do more to serve more, right? That's just been my whole thing. And, but the workout side of things, I call it the adversity accelerator. I intentionally put myself in tough positions so when life does throw me a curveball, it's like, I can get through this. Now, a lot of people will have curveballs thrown in their lives and they'll stop and they'll pause. And they'll say, maybe I shouldn't go any further. Well, when something's tough for me, the way I look at it is, I'm supposed to push through this, right? I'll give you an example of high rocks. And in high rocks, my camera guy, Logan, was there and he saw the whole thing. So it was amazing to have him. My wife was there with me. But I'm on the 7th exercise of high rocks, which is a 80 yards or 80 meters of sandbag lunges with a 40-pound sandbag on your shoulder. So I've got a sandbag on my shoulder. I'm strapped in. This thing I used to call the Aldridge arm that a friend of mine, Logan Aldridge, invented. So I'm strapped in to hold it. I'm doing these lunges on carpet, which is actually on concrete, and I'm banging my knees on because you have to touch all the way, right? And it's just, my knees are starting to bleed. I can feel them cut. And I get to turn back because you go up one side and turn back the other, and I come back and I'm about probably 20 meters from the finish line. I can feel my breath. Like I'm having trouble keeping my breath, and I'm monitoring my heart rate the whole time, like making sure I'm not over 170 beats a minute. Like I'm really focusing on that. I'm like, okay, I'm having trouble catching my breath. Well, I've got this strap across my chest holding that sandbag in place. Like, okay, well, if I loosen this a little bit, I can take deeper breaths. So I loosen it, take deeper breaths, and the sandbag shifts. So now I have 40 pounds on my right shoulder. I have nothing on my left. Like, I'll be okay. I take my next lunge. I get up and I fall. I mean, I fall hard. Like, boom, on this mat in the concrete. I'm laying there holding the strap still on me. My wife's leaning over this gate talking to me. The volunteers come and they're like, okay. For some reason, the guy's like, hey, we're going to take your shoes off you. I'm like, I'm taking my shoes off me, dude. What? And then another paramedic comes over and goes, do you need my help? I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. You're not hurt? I go, no, I just fell. I'll be okay. Like, you don't want to quit? I'm like, I'm not quitting. My wife's like, you need to get away from him. He's not quitting. Okay? Seriously. But all I could think about, this is how sick I am. All I could think about was, oh man, this is going to be a great story. Right? Like this is something bigger than getting through high rocks. I literally should quit right now, but I'm not going to. I'm going to get up and push through. And what's this going to do for me? It's going to give me even more opportunity the next time adversity comes at me. Like, yeah, I see this as a tough day, but I fell during high rocks and got up and finished, dude. Like, who does that? So I'm laying on the mat. I'm going, oh, I'm getting up. This is going to be really good. So I did. I got up. I finished it, took the sandbag off, and did my last kilometer run, and then went and did 100 wall balls and finished the competition. And I don't share that with you guys to like impress you, like, oh, look what. I share it with you because I intentionally put myself there. I intentionally trained 12 hours a day for 6 months, or 12 hours a week for 6 months to be able to even compete, right? And I won. I won first place in the limb difference division. I got first place, right? And I just wanted to finish. My goal was to finish. But the whole time all I could think about was, how's this going to affect me in the future to help me get to other spaces? How's this going to help me impact people from a stage when I deliver a message? And I kept telling myself, how do you finish high rocks? One lunge at a time, one broad jump burpee at a time, one step at a time, right? One row at a time. That's how you do it. So how do you get through life? 1 hour at a time, right? So I use this as just a powerful tool for me to help me be better in life, which in turn helps me impact other people in a big way.
Dude, it's incredible. Like what made you believe and actually want to compete in a event where people with both of their arms struggle with it?
Well, I've always been somebody who puts myself in tough spots. Like I really like to do. Like I've done 75 hard multiple times. I did the David Goggins challenge, which again, my video guy Logan has been with me for the last, I think over 4 years. And he shot the whole Goggins challenge. Like he was with me for 40. So the Goggins challenge is you do 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. Well, I turned 50 that week, so we did 2 extra miles, right?
Sick.
So he was there with me around the clock.
But in a competition where like you need your other arm to ski, to row.
So I saw my friend, Logan Aldridge, who's a Peloton instructor and a CrossFit athlete who's missing the same arm I am, competing on social media. And I was like, wait a minute, what is this? So I started doing research, and High Rocks says they're the competition built for everybody. So they will accommodate any limb difference, any disability, whatever it is, for you to compete. I was like, well, I gotta go do that, right? And I was 53 years old, right? That's the other thing, right? There's not very many people over 50 doing this stuff.
Yep.
But I was like, well, if Logan could do it, well, I can do it, right? And I don't have a quit button or an off button in me. Like my wife knows when I do these things, it's gonna end one of two ways. I'm gonna finish or I'm gonna be in the hospital. Like there's no in between for me, right? There's no, oh, I twisted my ankle. No, I'm gonna finish. So I just saw Logan do it. I'm like, okay, well, I can do it. And then I'll also look at it again. Everything I look at is how can I inspire other people, right? How can I use this as a resume for me to help other people?
Do you still see people underestimating you?
Oh God, I think so. I don't really pay attention to that. Probably more in the business world than other things. Sure. Like, and I think they underestimate you because of I don't have a better word than hate, right? Like they're haters, right? Like Welton won't do this, or he can't pull that off, or that's not going to happen. So I say I probably get underestimated more in the business world, but I use my social media as a virtual resume. I don't use it to attract business. I use it to show you proof that when I say I'm something, you can go look at it and that's who I am.
Yep.
Right.
Amen to that. Do you still feel yourself, do you still feel yourself trying to prove yourself to others at all? Like I have to imagine maybe like an external motivator growing up might have been trying to prove yourself to others. Hey, like, yeah, I might not have both arms, but I'm the fucking man. Yeah. What do you still see that showing up in different areas of your life?
I don't think so as much anymore. I think that it's this world has become more acceptable to seeing people in different ways accomplish things. Like when I was a kid, I didn't even know anybody else had one arm, right? Like I had no idea, you know what I mean? So now on social media, it's everywhere. Like I belong to all these different groups that are for amputees. Like there's literally Facebook groups for amputees, right? So I don't think about it that way anymore. But I do have that proving myself. Like I have this guy that shows up, and he'll show up tomorrow before I go on stage. He's always shows up. His name's Middle School Chris, and he's 5'3", 180 pounds. Like I was in 8th grade. I was a short, fat kid. I'm sorry, I was a short, heavy kid. He shows up, and he'll tell me, nobody wants to listen to you, bro. Like nobody, like you're gonna be on stage, they're gonna laugh you off stage, they're gonna boo. Nobody's gonna buy your book. Nobody's gonna and he shows up a lot. And I got to prove Middle School Chris wrong. And I prove him wrong on a daily basis, but he's still there. The self-doubt is still there, right? It's still that person that was made fun of in school. He's still that person that wanted to be like everybody else that wasn't. So I think I have to prove myself more than I do anybody else.
I think that's common in high performers, where I think a lot of people on the outside think that all the work that you do on yourself, that the voice just goes away. I think you just get better at synthesizing it and using better coping mechanisms almost.
Well, I will literally, like tomorrow, I go on stage at 1. So sometime between 11 and 12 tomorrow, I'll be in my room and quiet, listening, just kind of walking through everything, and I'll invite little Chris, middle school Chris, in for a conversation. Like, come on, bro, what you got? Like, pour it on me. Let's go. Let's get this out of the way, you know? And I'll think through that doubt a little bit, right? Like this morning, I'm getting ready at this beautiful suite they put me up in at the Hard Rock. And I'm like, this is my life now. Like, I'm going to go to do this awesome podcast, and then I'm going to shoot over to Orlando, and I'm going to be on stage tomorrow. Like, they pay me to do that. Like, how's that even real, right? So proving other people wrong, I don't really care about that anymore. I mean, I think I've got receipts. Yeah. You know what I mean, when people say, well, you know, prove this, I got a backpack full of receipts, brother. Like, and not in an arrogant way, but just like, they're real receipts. These aren't fake things that I say I was going to do. If you've known me long, and you've known me a couple years now, I think probably if someone said, what would you say about Chris? And I would hope that you'd say, every time this dude says he's going to do something, he does it. Yep. And it may be some of the craziest shit I've ever heard, but he still does it. And that's what I want to be known as, right? Is the guy that says he's going to do something and does it.
Yeah, and when you know badasses like I know you, the outside world, people that aren't putting in the same amount of work, that haven't provided enough evidence to themselves that they are who they say they are, it could come off cocky. But really, it's just confidence, because you've literally you've been in the before, and you've seen what happens in the after just by following through on your commitments. Yeah. So it's super inspiring to see. And also what I think it provides a good reminder is the fact that, like, you can keep doing this for years, right? You've built this evidence for years. You've built brick by brick and layers, but middle school Chris still creeps in. Oh, yeah, like you don't just completely conquer that. Like, there's just levels. The next level you get to, the bigger stage you go on, there's still self-doubt that creeps in all the time. Like, I get nervous all the fucking time still. I think it's just part of it, man.
My wife is always ready for me when I'm on stage. Like, she's not with me very often because of our little guy, but she'll have her phone by me even if she's seeing patients. And I'll call her, and she'll go, okay, what's up? Like, I don't have to say anything. And then she'll give me that little bit of extra boost I need sometimes. And I'm not too cool or too cocky to think that, oh, I got everything, man. Yeah. I'm a human. You know what I mean? I'm a human. And tomorrow's a huge opportunity. Tomorrow's a big stage for me, right? That's a big event, to be honored to be speaking on that event. Now, we've got some bigger events coming later this year, but this is the first one of those, you know, those really big events. You
were building more like service-based businesses for a while, and then you manifested turning into a coach. Like, talk me through like that transition of becoming a coach, and like the imposter syndrome that we're talking about. Like, was that heavy at the time that you made that transition of like, damn, is this thing gonna work when you leave the corporate world? Like, walk me through that transition.
Well, so my belief of imposter syndrome is it's a requirement, right? It's proof that you're in a new room and you're leveling up. Yep. And most people don't think of imposter syndrome as a way they should stop. And my mentor, Rene Rodriguez, taught me that. He said that your imposter syndrome is proof that you're leveling up, and you should feel that way often.
It's great.
So I'm sitting in my office, in my beautiful glass corner office, in my cush job that I've earned, that I could have stayed at forever, making a good income. I did whatever I wanted. I showed up when I wanted. I took out as much time as I wanted. Most people's dream job, like they worked their whole life to hope to one day to have that. But after COVID, after working all these hours and all this stuff, working 7 days a week during the COVID times, I started looking at things differently. And of course, the loss of CJ was part of that. But I realized as I'm sitting in my desk one day, I'm like, hey, only 10% of the people that work for me want to be better. And the other 90% just want a paycheck. Well, I've had coaches my whole life in business for 20 plus years. I wonder if I could do the same thing. I wonder if I could teach people at a high level that want to learn to be better and grow. And right about that time, my coach said, hey, do you want to start coaching with my company? Like, pick up a couple clients. I think you'd be great. And I'm like, sure. So I started doing that. Here's one of the funny things. As I start doing that, I have a meeting with my two partners or people I'm in business with that run the company I'm at. And one of them looks across the table from me and he says, so I hear you're going to coach. And I said, yeah. He goes, I don't see it. do you see it now? That's my question.
Come on.
Yeah, I don't see it. And I was like, man, okay. Well, the cool thing is you don't have to see it, right? So if someone tells you they don't see something that you're trying to accomplish, it's not their vision, man. They don't got to see it. So that was kind of like fuel for the fire. That kind of gave me a little bit more fuel. Then I started working and looking through things and what I need to be a coach and what's different. And then I started focusing on getting better at that space. I mean, I always have been someone who's really into self-improvement, just reading and listening to people who have successful traits and learning from that stuff, and trying to figure out what's my value add. Why am I different? Why would people pay me money for my advice?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think when people don't see it in those lens, it's because they don't see it in themselves. Agreed. It's usually just a mirror.
Agreed.
Right? They're usually just kind of like projecting on like what they believe they can't do. If you could summarize, somebody working with you for a year or two, paying you 6+ figures in coaching into one sentence, if somebody had to take one thing away from like, what do I need to maximize the juice out of my life to get to where I want to be? What would that look like?
I would say that that's a tough question to put it in one sentence because I'm not a one size fits all coach, right? I mean, like I don't, if somebody asked me today, what's your coaching style? I'm like, I said, I'm an empathetic coach who specializes in accountability is what that answer was to him. But
what is the one size fits all? What's the constant that is a principle that will never change?
I will help you believe in yourself. Like there's more growth in belief that you can get there and do things than anything else. Like that's the first thing. Mm-hmm. Like if I'm coaching you and you don't believe that you can do the things we talk about, there's no reason to work on it.
And tactically, how do you believe in yourself?
By creating daily disciplines, right? You create belief by keeping promises to yourself, right? And removing ceilings that other people have put on you. I've got a client of mine in South Florida, and the first conversation we had, he was doing around $37 million a year in revenue and or in volume. And he wanted to get to 100 million. And I asked him why, what's important? He says, because I want to say I've done it. That's great. So what's stopping you? He goes, I don't know if I can get there. We removed the belief, right? We started thinking and acting like a $100 million producer. What would a $100 million producer do? We changed a lot of the things in the way we showed up. And in 1 year, it went from 37 million to over 100 million of volume, right? Now, I didn't do the heavy lifting. He did all the heavy lifting. But what I did do was help him create a path to get there. And belief is the first part. Like your business you're building, right? I've watched you guys evolve and the massive things you're doing. If you didn't believe you could get there, would you be there right now?
Absolutely not.
Right? And again, we could go back to, where they're cocky, they're arrogant, and most of the people that say you're cocky or arrogant is because they don't believe they could do it. Or they'd have no belief, I would never be able to do something like that. Mm-hmm. You're right. Because you think that way, you're never going to be able to do it. But I would say belief is just the foundation for everything I coach to. Believing that you can get there. And I constantly have my people talk about how you think. You have to think and act differently to get where you want to go. Yeah. You can't evolve into the person you want to become by still being the same person you are today.
Totally. It very rarely is the what thing. It's always about like, who do I need to become to have this? It's always the identity piece, because the what fades. Like the tangible goal, great to have it as like a barometer, a score thing on the scoreboard, but it's really about who do I need to become to be that, to become that
and
person.
I want to go deeper in that real quick, because there's a lot of confusion in that space where we talk about who do I want to become. And people start like, I want to become the next Kobe Bryant, right? Or the next Michael Jordan, or I want to become in the mortgage space. There's all these leaders. Like, I want to become this person, or on social media, I want to become, no. It's becoming a better version of yourself. When you start trying to become a different, like someone who's like the next version of this person, you get lost in the shuffle, right? You get lost in, like, I have this whole thing I'm going to do tomorrow at a keynote. So I know this won't come out before then. So I'll tell you what it is. I'm going to talk to people about when we're growing up, what do we want to be the most? We want to be like everybody else, the cool kids. We want to dress like them, talk like them, act like them. We want to be like them. That's the cool kids. And then what happens when we get in business? We find the person who's the cool kid and we want to be like them. So if I scroll through social media in the mortgage space, everybody looks the same, right? We've got the same stuff. That's not how you win at a high level. It's being a better version of yourself and being unique. Now, you can use some of the things to open doors to for people to build relationships, but you got to show up as you. People want to do business with you, not anybody else. Now, there's this guy named Neil Dingra, who's an amazing guy. He runs Ford Academy, great mortgage guy, but he's got one of the best events there is. His trademark is a black backwards baseball cap. That's what he does, right? And you'll see pictures of him before that with his nerdy hair and stuff. It's hysterical. But he wears a black t-shirt and a black baseball cap backwards. Do you know how many people in the mortgage industry get on stage now with black t-shirts and black baseball caps? It's insane. So I'm going to compare that tomorrow to, what if everybody got on stage and acted like they have one arm? You're not going to do as good as me because I actually have one arm. So stop trying to be like everybody else, right? Be a better version of you. And that's where thinking and acting differently. I know the work and disciplines that based off of when I see other people get to 100 million, the disciplines they do, but how can I do it like me, right? How can I be unique in that space? And I think there's just people miss so many opportunities because they want to be like the next whatever and not the next Chris Welton.
Dude, that's so well said. So good. Cause like you can draw inspiration, specifically around the habits. Like one thing I was super blessed around was intuitively, I started to really understand like, okay, the people who are where I want to be, at least in my industry specific or stuff, like what are they doing? Less about like, what do they have and who are they? Cause like most of the time you hear that line, like don't meet your heroes cause you'll likely be disappointed because they're freaking humans, right? But how can I reverse engineer like an Ed Milet? What are his habits? What are his daily disciplines? Because homie's provided enough evidence to where like, you know, he could be relatively successful in a lot of things he does. Yeah. What is Chris Welton up to? Like what's his morning routine look like? All those types of things. That's where I would encourage people to draw inspiration from, not what does he have? Yeah. What car does he drive? Those types of things. So it's a good reminder, man. I appreciate that. So like to the point of you like kind of zigging when everyone's zagging when everyone's zigging type of thing. Like I think about the meme where it's like, here's everyone and there's Chris. Go be like Chris, right? You're outside of the bubble. You take that one step further with the whole one Jordan concept. Yeah. Where does that come from? Explain to us what one Jordan looks like.
So back to my glass office in the corner office, and I'm doom scrolling one day through social media. I'm thinking about how can I compress time? I'm going to build a coaching company. I'm going to leave my great job at 51 years old, and I want to build a coaching company, and I'm going to do things differently. How can I do that? And I come across this TikTok, and there's a guy named Brad Lee on there talking about, here's a unique way to connect with people. And he says, send him one Jordan shoe and a handwritten note that says, give me a call. And then he says, or FedEx them a cell phone that's fully charged and on, and when you get the alert and they open it, you call the cell phone. I thought, well, that makes them feel like someone's abducted their family, so I'm not going to do that, right? So I said, I love Jordans. That's the status symbol for me when I was a kid. Like the people who had money had Jordan shoes, right? I'm going to try that. So there were some people I wanted to connect with. The first one, I was speaking at an event, my first event I was ever going to speak at. And I'd heard him on the Ed Milet show. His name's Damon West. And I'm like, I see he wears Jordans. I'm going to try that one Jordan with him. So this is back when you could DM Damon and he would respond. He had like 20,000 followers. Mm-hmm. Now, Damon's a good friend of mine, and we were just texting actually yesterday. But so I messaged Damon. I said, hey, man, do you always wear Jordan 1s? What's your favorite Jordan? He goes, no, I really like the Jordan 3s. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I said, what size shoe do you wear? He says, I wear a 10.5. I'm like, awesome. So I get online, I order a pair of Jordan 3s and a 10.5. They come in, and I messaged back. I said, hey, I'd like to send you a gift, man, for everything you do. Where'd I send it? He gave me the address, and I packaged up a shoe, and I sent it to this P.O. box, and I waited. And I waited. And I finally messaged him and said, hey, man, I sent you something like a month ago. Did you get it? He goes, no, I haven't checked my P.O. box, but I'm in town. I'll go check today. He checks. I get this phone call from a guy in Texas because I just put it in the note. Hey, give me a call. And it's Damon West. We have a conversation. And I said, hey, would you be on my podcast? So when I first started my podcast, he's like, man, I'd love to, man. What a great story we can tell. Awesome. So I'm like, man, that worked. Now I'm sitting in an airport on an 8-hour delay because I'm trying to fly out of Charleston and get back to Orlando. There's a hurricane. And I create my one Jordan list. who else do I want to connect with? So I put all these names down, man. So I start working on getting shoe sizes, leveraging relationships. Hey, can you get a shoe size for this? Ben Newman was the second person I sent a shoe to. And that's how I met you, fortunately. It's just through a Ben Newman event. And then I went like 6 or 7 in a row. People responded. And I was compressing time and now building relationships with people that I would have never got to meet, right? And without spending $50,000 to do a VIP event with them. So, like, this is working really well. Maybe I should write a book about it. So then I wrote a book. And there's a lot of it goes into that, like trying to get the shoe size. I've never sent a 1 Jordan to a woman, not because I don't like women, but I feel it's weird if a dude reaches out and asks a woman her shoe size. I'm just going to be honest.
Fair.
I feel like that's not respecting my wife. Okay. Like I would never do, like I don't hug other women that aren't family members. Like that's not me, right? That's disrespectful to my spouse. So I haven't done that, but it has built some incredible relationships for me along the way. And so we wrote the book. This is the craziest thing. Writing the book, get everything through. Publishers like, we wanted to release in October. I just stopped writing. And the publisher's like, Chris, we got a date. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna put the book out. She's like, why? I said, 'cause middle school Chris told me I shouldn't put it out, man. It's not gonna be any good. Finally, my wife's like, you need to get your ass in there and write the book. So I finished, we re-released it. And I'm like, no one's gonna buy it. The next day it was a bestseller in 6 different categories on Amazon. Like, I mean, some of the books it was ahead of it was just amazing, right? Like, it's just really cool to do that. And now I have proof of a concept, but that's what I'm talking about on stage tomorrow. So it's never been about, look at me give a shoe to people. The whole thing was, let me use that shoe to open the door for a relationship with you. Now, a lot of the people I sent shoes to, I don't like now. Like, we're not friends, okay? We just weren't a good fit. I sent shoes to several people that sent them back, or ones that never responded. That's okay. But it was about getting me into rooms I'd never been into before, right? It was about meeting people. If I hadn't done the 1 Jordan shoe, I would have never met Ben Newman. I wouldn't be sitting here today with you. I wouldn't be on stage tomorrow speaking about it. So it's not really about, oh, go do 1 Jordan, but it was about being different, right? Stepping into who I am as a person, and being unique in a space that is crowded with everybody trying to be the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very rarely the one-to-one outcome that you're looking for. It's all of the tangential things that happen beyond that you never even realized were possible. Like I have to imagine that when you started sending the 1 Jordan shoe, you didn't realize what it would turn into today. No,
I didn't think that. I mean, I've been at the airport and people come to me and go, hey, you're 1 Jordan. I'm like, that's the craziest thing ever.
That's so cool.
No, I did not think it would be to where it was, or I would be invited to come speak for an hour on a stage about the strategy, right? Like, I did not think that was going to be the case. I was trying to compress time to grow my coaching business through my podcast. And how could I get better guests on my podcast than just average people? Well, I sent them 1 Jordan and they say yes. That's how I got people like Tarek El Musso, right? He's a guy that's a very famous guy on HGTV, has a show called Flip or Flop. I got him on my podcast. Like, he doesn't do podcasts because I sent him 1 Jordan shoe, right? Like, that was the thing that opened the door for him, and we have a relationship now.
So most people tell you, hey, Chris, just run advertising on Facebook. You're like, no, I'm going to go send a $300 pair of shoes to someone I have no idea what the fuck they're going to do.
But it's intentional, right? Yeah. So the intentionality behind it, and that's what I think a lot of people miss, is like, oh, I've got 5,000 people in my database. Well, how many people I have relationships with? I don't know. I'd rather have 10 solid 1 Jordan relationships than I would 5,000 people in my database. And again, this isn't to impress anybody with the names I'm about to say, but I could text John Gordon right now and he'll call me back, right? I won with John Gordon a couple years ago. He's been pivotal in me speaking, helping me get on more stages. But John Maxwell, like the GOAT, man, he's the best coach, mentor you could ever imagine. I could text John Maxwell and he responds to me, right? Like he did a keynote about me on stage called Getting Out of the People Pile. And I didn't even know he was going to do it. I started getting all these DMs from people I'd never heard of before. Hey, Maxwell's in Orlando talking about you on stage. I show up to an event in Atlanta last year. And John, I didn't know, John knew I was coming. I was going to be there because my friend Brian was speaking. And I'm in the same room and I walk up to John and he loses it. He can't believe I'm there. Then he changes his whole keynote on stage and talks about me in the crowd, right? About how to get out of the people pile and connect and be different. And the next part of that, though, is what a lot of people miss is, and we hear this all the time in different industries. Oh, I had this great meeting with this whale, or I had this great introduction meeting, and then they don't do anything about it. See, I won Jordan people, and if it's the right fit, then we build a relationship. Yep. We keep going. They get random text messages from me, and I don't ask for anything, right? I give. And then they say, hey, you want to do this with us? You want to come to this event? I'm going to be in your town. You want to grab lunch? Like, it just compressed time, like I said, and opened up relationships that we can leverage for bigger things.
Yeah, that's so good, man. Yeah, it's very rarely about the one conversation you're able to generate from the Jordan. It's all about the relationship that you're able to build after that, right? The Jordan gets you in the room, but what are you able to do after that? Like, what's your, there's Ella. Welcome, Ella.
Hi, Ella.
Hey, baby girl. Come on, go in your bed. Go lay in your bed. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So what's like the back end look? Because obviously, like, you know, you're one Jordaning to like some high caliber dudes, and you don't want this to seem weird, off, or sticky, or any type of transactional stuff. But what is your system behind the scenes around keeping track of all this? Because, you know, as someone as myself that's like, I believe in the same philosophy. I'm proverbially, metaphorically one Jordaning a lot of people, and you know, when you have 100+ irons in the fire, you got to keep a lot of things warm, but you're always looking to just deposit value. It's like, how do I overwhelm someone with so much value that they feel obligated to reciprocate at some point with nothing in return? Like, what's your system behind the scenes other than just like remembering?
I really don't have a system. I mean, like the one Jordan list isn't very long. Okay. Right now there's a handful of one Jordans on my whiteboard in my office. And I can tell you that, it's Ryan Leak is on there. I have his shoe size now. I'm just trying to figure out where to send it to. There's a guy named Clint Pulver that's on there that we're working on. Dana White has been on the list for 2 years. I will get to Dana at some point. But I don't really have like this massive list of people we're doing that, connecting with. Now, my leads in my business and those stuff, we have a system and we follow up a certain way. We do those things. But this is just something else that I do that's 100% me. I don't, you know, my assistant does order the shoes and mail them out for me a lot of times. But as a whole, there's no like, here's 100 people on the Jordan list. Let's do this. It's very intentional. And I think that's where a lot of people miss it. When you're trying to connect with somebody at a high level, they need to feel special, right? Like when I was in Dallas, I met a guy named Clinton Sparks. And Clinton Sparks is like one of the top record producers of all time, like 80 million in sales. Like, I mean, if you could go through all the hip hop songs he's done. And I was introduced to him by somebody who told him about the one Jordan, right? The shoe. And I asked him for a shoe size. And when I asked, and he was like, he couldn't believe I wanted a one Jordan him. Like, he was like, that's the coolest thing ever. Now I can text Clinton Sparks right now and hang out if I want to. When I go to Vegas, Clinton's always available to hook up, right? But it's making them feel special, and it's a little more intentional than here's 100 people on this list. Here's my system to follow up with it. This is the elite of the elite. If you get a one Jordan from me, everybody else might get a copy of a book or something. But
has anyone ever won Jordan you?
They have actually. There's a realtor in Indianapolis. He saw me speak in Charleston when you and I spoke. And he came up to me and asked me my shoe size, and I told him. Then he got my address, and he sent me one Jordan in Florida because he knew I was moving to Indy, and he wanted to be my realtor. So he sent me one Jordan, and we've had coffee since I moved back up there, but I already had a realtor, so I'm not going to jump just because he sent me a shoe. But we've had some contact and some connection, and I've been one Jordan one time. That's
great. Well, when you get back, I'm going to one-ug you. I got you, dude. Something that I really admire about you, and you just do this so well, is like, it feels like, we were talking about this at dinner last night, you've really figured out a way to define playing your own game. You know, through your entrepreneurial career, you know, you went through a lot of success, got fucked over tons of times, all these different cycles. But in a world where, you know, you've built the expertise and skill set to go make hundreds of millions of dollars if you wanted to, or consult for equity for all these things, you've really defined like what your game you're playing is, you know, which is really how to be the best husband and dad and build build a business that supports that lifestyle. Like, how have you been able to define your own game? And were there ever times where you feel like you were playing somebody else's game?
Oh, I played someone else's game a lot in my life. You know, the space I'm in right now is what I've built this time is I've built a business around my family instead of building my family around my business. And we say no to a lot of things. My family comes first. My family calendar comes first. So we map our vacations and our quality time and everything on a calendar before I put one business thing on there. And if something comes up, I've got a business meeting, or I get to go to spend some extra time with my son, we reschedule the business meeting. And look, I can do that because of the level I've gotten to now. If you're starting out, it's tough to do that, right? It's tough to, oh no, I don't want to take that client. Like, we say no a lot to clients. They're not a good fit for us. If they become a drag on who we are and it costs me any time with my family, we're just not going to do it. And it's a tough thing to do. That's really hard to say no when you're a revenue-driven person, like every entrepreneur is, and you turn down a large check. Oh, I used to say, well, I'll make it up later. Make it up later. Well, I have two older kids. I have a daughter that'll be 33 in a couple weeks and a 26-year-old daughter that I missed most of their lives because I tried to build my family around my business.
Yep.
And it was not successful.
And I don't want people to get it twisted. Like, when you're first starting out, there's likely going to be opportunities that you take on that, like, a year from now, you're going to say, hey, like, we probably rather shouldn't have taken on, but that's just part of the evolution of business. But if you could really figure out what game you're playing and you can learn to say no early, I think it really, barring you have enough cash flow to subsidize the business for a long enough time to not have clients, you kind of win the game there. Like, you create that floor and just constantly builds. Like, when we first started, it was like, hey, we're only taking on 7-figure entrepreneurs. And then it was like, hey, we're only taking on 8-figure entrepreneurs. And you go through that awkward phase of like not being, like, saying no to a bunch of people until you become that person that says, you like the market starts to identify you as like who you actually support. How's that shift been in your business? Because I know the coaching business is still relatively new.
Yeah.
What did that look like at the beginning? Like, was it easy to get clients? Like, were you scrambling? Like, what's the evolution of the coaching side?
Yeah, I was trying everything I could to get clients, right? I'm going to be like everyone else and post all these videos and people are just going to DM me, right? Or I'm going to create this group coaching program. People are going to be waiting for me. And I had to get really clear on who it was I wanted to help, like really narrow. And what happens is most people, when they start a business, they want to be good at everything, right? Like here's an example. You go get in the mortgage business and you want to, I have 50 different loan products. I can serve everybody. Well, that's a really shallow pool. You're not going to be able to go deep with people, right? So I tell people to get really dialed in and narrow on what they want to be known as an expert in their field as. So mine was in the real estate mortgage space. I want to be an expert. I want to be the most impactful coach in that space, and I'm going to do everything I can to be great in that space. So once I narrowed that down, all my business honestly comes from repeat and referrals, and maybe 10% comes from stages. The rest is from current clients or past clients or other coaches that say, no, you got to work with Chris. But I became known as an expert in the mortgage and real estate space in a short period of time. Then I started getting referrals and opportunities in other spaces. And I look at those and I say, does this fit who I want to be? And I started expanding my business model a little bit. But I'm still known as a mortgage and realtor coach in that space. Now, I'm known as a performance coach overall. And I've worked with, like, when I tell you the different businesses that I've worked with now, it's pretty wild. Like, I have a CEO of a building supply company that I've helped double their sales and their volume in the last 12 months. Like, literally took them from like 400,000 to way over 1 million, and we're going to do even more this year. But that's something different I would have never done. I wouldn't have entertained it. I was referred to them by somebody in the real estate space. They were friends. And I'm now coaching a therapist. Can you believe that? I was referred to this therapist, probably because I needed her, but the other part because she wants to grow her practice. And the one thing that therapists and doctors aren't good at is business. Well, I'm good at business. right? And all businesses are pretty much the same. They gotta be like, there's a lot of similarities in every business. So now I'm helping her dial her expenses in, understand what it actually costs to get a patient in the door, and open other practices, right? And I become that accountability partner on the way. So getting really narrow in the beginning on what it was. And I wanted to coach everybody in the beginning too. Everybody's going to be, I want to coach everybody. Well, because I wanted to make money, right? I was a little bit, I had that mindset, a scarcity mindset that I better coach everybody, right? And then what started happening is I narrowed it. I started getting more people. I could raise my price, right? Because I brought more value to the market. So that started working for us. People stayed around. I've lost some of my clients I would never thought have left. Even after we've done massive results, we just ran the end of the course. But here's the cool thing, and I think you've probably had the same thing. Whenever one of those clients leaves that you've crushed it with, all of a sudden you replace it with 2 clients. Like you don't even, like next thing I know, I've got a referral or a phone call or whatever, then I've got more clients. So my business keeps building. Now I provide massive value, right? Like I do a lot of things outside the box that coaches do. For my VIP clients, I'm on call. And what that means for me is if you text me and you need something, I'm going to call you back as soon as I can. Now, my wife takes my phone away at night, that's okay. I'm not going to call you the next day. But I'm available for my clients. And nobody ever abuses that, but it builds more value for them. Oh, you need me to jump on an extra call and interview your new CFO you want to bring on? Perfect. I'm not going to charge you for that. It only makes sense for me to evolve the interview process anyways, because I'm going to have to coach you out of a bad situation if not, right? So I just continue to add massive value to people. And it just really, I don't know, man. I was talking to my wife this morning. I'm like, I can't believe this is my life. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, well, things are going in a great spot right now. And she goes, yeah, but you did all the work to get there, right? Like you've done, and you continue doing it. So I'd say go back to being super, like when you started your business, I know what your niche was. You opened the doors with a tax advisor space. You knew where you wanted to go, but you were my tax advisor expert. I don't even know how many clients of mine that you work with. Like it's a lot, right? Mm-hmm. But that made you an expert in that space. And then what happened?
Yep.
It started flowing in other areas.
That's right. In a referral-based business, if you're known to be the expert in that spot, it's like, hey, I'm cool with that because like that gets a lot of things through the door, and then you can open up your clients to the abundance of opportunities that you have to serve them as well. What internal battles still come about when you know that you're purposely leaving at least revenue and money off the table, like long-term, knowing that like you could build $100 million enterprise if you wanted to, but you're purposely doing it your way with family at the center of it. Like, does middle school Chris ever come into the play? Like what's
Not
that?
In that one. No. Mm-hmm. And here's part of the confidence and some would call it arrogance you have to have if you're in the sales space. If tomorrow my coaching business went to zero, for some reason, it just, no more clients, no more revenue, I'd go find another way to make $1 million in 12 months. Why? Because I've done it time and time and time again.
Yep.
I'm a salesman. I know how to sell and I know how to provide value to people. So I'm not afraid of losing it. And I think that's the other part too, is if you're a true entrepreneur, you can't be afraid of it going to zero. You can't.
Yep.
Some of the best things ever happened in my life is when my business has gone to zero. Like it sucked, but it's just part of it.
If you don't pull the trigger willing to go to zero, you'll never understand like the max potential of what this thing could be. Right. And when you're in a position as a founder-led business to bet on yourself, there's a very low likelihood that everything will go to zero because you don't lose your skill sets. So even if you lose the revenue, like your skill still stays here and you can kind of go recreate it. It's been really awesome to see your shift, because when I had first met you, it was like during that transition. Yeah. So like there could be a massive loss of self-confidence, and I don't know if that, I'd like you to riff off that, because like you go from being in a successful role here and like you still have this also awesome skill set, but like you're now starting at the bottom at least of just truly like a startup. Like what thoughts are going through your mind, even though you've provided a lot of evidence to your subconscious that you are this guy, but like what's that look like when you first started?
Well, the shift in identity, right? Who I defined myself was and who I am as a person is, the first thing was my phone wasn't ringing anymore because I was the problem solver, right? I was the one that solved all the problems for the company. Like my phone rang all the time. And when day one, when I was no longer in that role, it didn't ring anymore. Well, I defined my value by how many problems I solved a day. So, and luckily my coach told me, be ready for that, because he'd done a similar transition. Be ready for that. If he hadn't, I don't know what I would have done. But the quiet part was it was like, oh God, did I do the right thing? Right? Like, and once I realized that your life's not supposed to be that chaotic. You're not supposed to be a babysitter of people that make $800,000 a year. They should be their own babysitter. Like, all these things started coming back to me like, okay, this is what life's supposed to be. I don't need to be on my phone after 5 o'clock at night, right? Why would I be on a call? Why would I be responding to emails at 5 a.m. about an underwriting situation? The underwriters aren't even working until 9. Like, so you go through all these things and you're like, God, that's how you defined my success or my worth, was by how many problems I solved. So there was that for sure, is going into this new role. And then I realized there's a guy named Coach Michael Burt, who's become a good friend of mine, who I won Jordan. And he said, Chris, the bigger the problem you solve, the more money you make. So I just started trying to find people who had really big problems and trying to solve them for them.
Yep. Big time, dude. What do you think life would look like today if you didn't transition here and like you're still playing everyone else's game?
I wouldn't have the quality time with my son. My marriage wouldn't be as strong as it is. And I'd be incredibly unhappy.
Mm-hmm. Dude, this has been like, just every time I talk to you, like it's like another layer of getting to know you. But like, it's like, if I could just speak as a friend right now, like like since I've last seen you, you're showing up as a different Chris, not a different Chris, just a consistently more evolved Chris. And like, what else would I expect? Just someone who's just had 2 years extra of just constant putting in the work. Like, you've never wavered, dude. Last question as we wrap up here. And feel free to tell me that you don't want to answer this question, but if CJ were here, he'd be what, like 5 or 6 at this point?
He'd be 5.5. Yeah.
What would you say to him at this point if he were here with you right now?
If he had made it and was here? Gosh, it's a tough one. I haven't never thought about that. I mean, I think that if we had never lost CJ, I would be a totally different person than I am right now, I think. So if I had a conversation with him and he was here and we hadn't gone through all that stuff, it'd be the same conversations I have with Leo. I love you. You're the best thing I've ever done. And I tell Leo that all the time. Like, I've done a lot of good things in my life, buddy, but you're the best thing I've ever done, like by far. So I would tell him that. And I would tell him how much I miss him when I travel, and how proud I am of him for just being himself. You know, we raised Leo as a feral kid. And what I mean by that is we just let him do whatever the hell he wants, and we figure it out from there. But so if I had that space, I think it'd be a lot like the relationship I have with Leo. And I just tell my kids every day I love them, man. Like, you know, I didn't have that growing up. You know what I mean? Like, I was told that I hate you and you ruined my life and I never wanted you. And that was my childhood. So my kids don't hear that from me. Mm-hmm. They know I'm here to support them. I'm proud of them, and I'll help them any way I can. But my little guys, it's really cool having another shot to raise kids after you screwed up the first 2 you had. I didn't screw them up. Like,
sure.
My oldest daughter owns her own restaurant. She's very successful. My youngest daughter graduated with a 3.9 GPA from Florida State and a degree in finance. And now she's going to get in grad school. She's gonna be a CPA. So I did screw them up, but they've made it through, right? Like, 'cause I didn't know any better. You know, I had my first kid when I was 20 years old. But now I've got a lot of lessons, and I literally coach people for a living, and now my son gets all that stuff. He sees me all the time, right? And things are caught, not taught. So he sees how I treat his mom. He sees the love and affection and those kind of things. And I think that'll help him big time along the way.
So thank you for being open to answering that question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Chris, I don't know how else to say it, man, but it's been an honor to spend the last 12, 18 hours with you.
Dude, my pleasure, man.
Need to be doing this more often. Can't wait to have you on again.
Yeah.
And I love you, bro. God bless you.
Too, man. I appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Dude. Great. Cool. Awesome stuff, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man.